I got into journalism. I never took a journalism class in my life, and I think it's part of why I'm still a journalist. I stalked Amy Goodman and begged her to, let me walk her dog if she had one, or wash her windows or whatever. And then I was saying the other day, she had to decide whether to get a restraining order against me or let me come in and volunteer. So I'm glad she didn't get a restraining order against me. But I always tell the interns that I have at The Nation magazine, which The Nation has a great internship program, by the way. If you want to do this kind of work, you could go through an endless string of internships, and it's not going to lead you there in all likelihood. I mean, what I would do if I were a young person wanting to do this right now is spend, if you have the freedom to do something like this, 6 months or 8 months of a year doing a job that doesn't zap your brain power. Save up as much money as you can, and while you're doing that job, whether it's manual labor of some sort or something else, be researching what it is that you want to report on. And whether or not someone's going to hire you to do it, you go and you do it, and you act as though someone is paying you to do it. Because you've saved up that money for those months. And you can go to a place and live for 3 months as though you're on staff somewhere. And you can start your own blog, or you can start a newsletter that you send around to your friends and family, and you'll get experience. But you take yourself seriously as a journalist. And if you do that, I really believe that people who do that, and I know people that have done this, that you eventually can crack through. But I never made more than $14,000 a year, and I never had health care for all of the years that I was doing field reporting. I was publishing stuff for free on Common Dreams and Alternet, and I loved every second of that existence, and I had no idea if I was going to be able to pay rent the next day. But I learned how to be a journalist like a plumber or a carpenter learns their trade, by doing hands-on work. And that would be my advice. I'm not saying drop out of college, but I'm saying if you want to do this kind of work, everyone I know who does it didn't go up through the internship program somewhere. They went and did it, and they took themselves seriously enough to do it. The guy in the back there, he does.
You mentioned Bob Woodward earlier, and I know he's sort of become famous for using the anonymous source.
Yeah.
And that seems to have serious implications for U.S. media in general, as there seems to be this over-reliance on anonymous sources for reporting, particularly in the fallout after the Boston bombing. I mean, would you be able to comment on the efficacy, essentially, of using anonymous sources and the reasons that you believe?
Yeah, I mean, I do use anonymous sources. And if you look at my book, I mean, there's a couple of chapters in there about one guy in particular who worked on a series of classified task forces with JSOC. And he was someone that talked to me because he was concerned about the direction that things were going in, and felt that there was extra legal activity taking place. And I got to know him over the course of years and built up trust with him. And I gave him an alternative identity in the book to protect him, because he's still working in that community. And there are other cases where there were special ops guys that were part of operations, including the strike on Anwar al-Awlaki, that I granted anonymity because I felt that the information was important to get out, and who they are actually doesn't matter. They're cogs in a machine. They're not decision makers. I think, though, that allowing senior officials anonymity, particularly to make allegations about individuals being terrorists or having, or being involved with plots, is a scurrilous practice. And I think that it allows a layer of protection for the most powerful people in this country to use newspapers to litigate cases against suspected criminals. And to me, it's just fundamentally wrong. I also think that there's a lot of reporters that are far too cozy with those in government, and they give anonymity to their friends in return for giving them scoops. Newspapers are used by the CIA, the military, all the time. It's just a chess game. And so I think you have to have a really good defensible reason to use an anonymous source, particularly if they're a senior official within the government. We can maybe take one more, and then we'll have to wrap it up there. The young woman in the far back, sorry.
My question is related to Syria and the revelations that Carla, the judge,
Carla Del Ponte.